Sejo has become the personification of a simp after meeting the love of his life, Aika. He spent years pestering her every day to be his girlfriend. However, he always receives a no. However, things are about to change. Sejo, as usual, is trying to get a date while his classmates are playing soccer. The ball flies directly at Sejo's face, but instead of striking him, something more interesting occurs. It's as if time and the entire planet had paused. Everything goes back to usual, but something has changed in Sejo. He no longer loves Aika after that. He enters the classroom and she expects him to speak to her, but he passes past her without even glancing at her. Even the teacher notices how unusual it is that he isn't harassing Aika. After class, Sejo wanders along the hallway. Aika warns him not to bother her, but to her astonishment, he explains he is only going to the bathroom. Everyone in the classroom is perplexed because it was Sejo's habit to always pass by Aika. When his pals inquire if he has reached the stage where he no longer likes her, Sejo responds in a perplexing manner. He claims he no longer feels the same way about her, as if his love has cooled. Despite this, he continues to admire her. Things get much odd now that Aika wants to initiate a discussion. She later regrets her actions, but everyone in the classroom notices and believes she likes Sejo as well. Sejo's apathetic demeanor appears to work in his favor, as a girl named Reena unexpectedly joins him for lunch. Sejo asks why she's there, and she simply answers she's interested in him before departing. However, she reappears shortly after, waiting for Sejo to return to his classroom. At the same time, Aika arrives, and despite her efforts to conceal it, everyone notices she's envious. Aika, Aika's best friend, helps Sejo get out of this position. First, she chastises him for being a player, and then she informs him that Reena is known for having been in love with a second-year guy who recently broke up with her. To learn more, Sejo visits the second-year guy's classroom and finds him discussing the school's girls with his pals. The guy says that Aika is the most gorgeous. This response makes Sejo feel a little bad for Reena. Sejo is going to beg the girls for help when Reena interrupts him. Before she can do so, Aika unexpectedly asks her why she broke up with her lover. Following the emotional shock of that inquiry, Reena admits that things just did not work out, which is why they ended. Aika is dissatisfied with the response and continues to urge her. This time, she informs Reena that her ex-boyfriend is incredibly foolish for abandoning her. Reena, like Sejo, who hasn't moved on from his ex, requests her not to speak negatively about her ex-boyfriend. He is perfect, she says before fleeing. Sejo chases her, but as he leaves the classroom, he collides with a girl we'll meet later. Finally, Sejo catches up with Reena. She asks him, calmer now, why he never mentions Aika when he's with her. Sejo informs her that, based on his personal experience, it's a bad idea to discuss one female with another. Reena now asks if he is still in love with Aika, and Sejo responds that his heart has cooled after so many rejections, and it is time to move on. He still has feelings for Aika, but he understands it's best for him to move on. Reena reveals the true reason she broke up with her boyfriend. He admitted he liked Aika. She was troubled by what he said, even though she knew he was not serious. Sejo informs her that he may not have meant it seriously, and that everyone makes errors. She should not be depressed because she was rejected once. For example, when he confessed to a female, she turned him down and humiliated him alongside her boyfriend. However, because of that situation, he met Aika. She was the only person that helped him at the time, and he has been in love with her ever since. Don't ask me how, I don't know either. However, Reena benefits much from this chat, and as a result, she is able to overcome her concerns with her lover. The girls ask Sejo whether that makes him happy, as Reena had affections for him. Sejo has developed a lot, and admits that she was fragile at the time. If he took advantage of that, he would feel bad about himself. Sejo's love life is about to improve, since when his friends arrive, he informs them that he and Aika are going through a divorce, which makes her unhappy. Later, while enjoying his reflection in the mirror, someone knocks on his door, and it's Aika. She walks in, and Sejo informs her that he has the house to himself, but he doesn't mean that in a weird way. He just wants her to feel at ease. She tells him that he has been acting strangely recently. It's always been strange, but now he's completely indifferent to her. Has he stopped like her? Sejo responds by asking her to go out with him, but she promptly declines. Sejo stopped pursuing her since he knows she dislikes him, and it's a waste of time for both of them. She doesn't like him, but she misses the attention he used to show her. Before we can continue the chat, Sejo's school sister comes, and we don't know much about her other that she is well known for her involvement in the student council. Minutes later, Sejo walks Aika to her house, but she pauses along the way to ask if he has anything else to tell her. However, it was a horrible choice because Sejo informs her that he would cease following her from that day forward. He wishes they could be more or less classmates. Finally, Sejo asks if she has any attractive friends to introduce him to. I'm not sure what reaction Sejo expected, but what he gets is that the girl flees. As if that wasn't enough, the next day, through the miracle of fate, they were given separate seats. On the one hand, this is even better for Sejo, but Aika has a completely different tale when Ashida tells her something she didn't know. Nobody wanted to approach Aika since he was always with her. Sejo realizes that what Ashida said is true now that he has essentially abandoned her, so he will attempt to remedy the matter. But first, he needs to resolve another issue. While strolling, he comes across Ren, the student council president. She's there to chastise him for frightening her best friend, the girl with whom Sejo collided that one time. Our friend apologizes to her for the accident since he does not want to cause any further difficulties. However, Ren was joking, and she explains that you responded that way because she fails to bond to boys, thus it wasn't his fault. Knowing all of this, Sejo decides to quit the conversation. But Ren interrupts him and says she wants to speak with him alone. When she is alone, she informs him that she is confident he has no bad intentions toward her friend. Of course, Sejo only saw her once. Ren has seen that he is quite skilled at reading people, which is why she wants to talk to him. She asks him to assist her with something. All of her peers excel at their responsibilities, yet there are moments when they are upset, and she has no idea what to do or say. Sejo reminds her that as president, the worst thing she can do is neglect her duties. Her peers do not want her to sympathize with them, but rather guide them. The best she can do is pat them on the back and assure them that everything is fine, since she believes in them. Ren expresses gratitude to him for his excellent counsel and for spending time with her. But before Sejo leaves, she asks for his name. For some reason, our friend gives her his friend's name rather than his own. The following day, Sejo leaves his residence with his sister as normal. His sister learns that Aika is also going to school, so she leaves him and tells him to accompany Aika. However, things does not go as planned, as none of them speaks to each other throughout the journey. The fascinating part occurs when they arrive at school, when Ashida rushes to inform Sejo that the president is waiting for him angrily in the classroom. The reason is that she discovered he never revealed his real identity. But now that she knows, she'll wait for him in the meeting room to speak with him. Ren questions him in the conference room about why he didn't provide his true name, and Argai responds honestly. He believes that if she remembers his name, it will be bad for him, but not for his friend. Ren understands this, so she tells him the actual reason they're there. She wants to apologize to him for her reaction, and she believes that knowing him will help her overcome her phobia of males. Our friend merely wishes her luck. After exiting the room, he meets Ashida, who tells him to go see Aika. When Sejo visits the classroom, he notices that the girl is interacting much better with her peers, which makes him happy. However, he understands that as much as he wants to be with her, he should keep his distance. At the same time, his sister calls him and requests for his assistance with some student council responsibilities. Our friend initially refuses, but after his sister warns him that if he doesn't help, she would reveal that he lies about his age to get a part-time job, Sejo agrees. He starts to work, and when he's finished, everyone on the council is pleased with his work. However, his sister informs him that he still has more work to do, and this time she pledges to purchase him a decent magazine as a reward. You understand what she is referring about. Meanwhile, Ren and you participate in the traditional student council events from anime. While they walk, you admits to Ren that she is concerned that she may have hurt Sejo in some manner, as he always looks at her with a dissatisfied expression. Ren pats her on the back, reassuring her that everything will be alright, like Sejo advised. The next day, we watch Aika enter the classroom and notice Sejo's empty seat, but she doesn't seem to care. Seconds later, one of her classmates recommends that they go visit Aika's house to see her younger sister. Aika thinks it's a brilliant idea, and when Sejo comes, she asks if he'll go. However, Sejo understands that is a poor idea, as evidenced by Aika's statement that she will not allow her younger sister to approach him. Later, everyone is preparing to go to Aika's house, but Sejo simply grabs his belongings and exits the classroom. When Aika discovers, Sejo comes to a halt, and Aika timidly inquires as to whether he truly refuses to come to her home. Before he can respond, Ren comes, apologizing for disrupting their conversation but stating that he has to speak with Sejo alone. In the room, she expresses her gratitude to him for his suggestion, which much benefited her buddy. However, another issue has arisen. Yu is sad because she believes he misinterpreted her sentiments. Ren approaches Sejo and asks for his honest assessment. He acknowledges he's sad that Yu didn't apologize to him for her own reason or to help her recover from trauma. Instead, she became tired of herself, reaching a breaking point when she turned down Sejo's goodwill. That's what troubles him. Yu used their experience as a springboard to overcome her insecurity. With that said, he withdraws. Days later, global warming has reached the anime, and the heat is intolerable. The advantage is that he can see his darling Aika in her summer outfit. In class, Aika examines all of the photographs she took while visiting Aika's house. In one of them, she sees that her companion appears depressed. She asks Sejo why he hasn't spoken to Aika yet, and he says he wants to keep his distance from her so as not to disrupt her new friendships. Furthermore, if he gets closer, he will be unable to see her in her summer outfit. What neither of them realizes is that as they converse without paying attention, Aika is watching them. Later, in physical education class, one of his buddies shows Sejo all of the pictures he shot at Aika's residence. While looking at them, Sejo receives a message from his sister stating that she does not require him that day. Signaling love. Sejo arrives at the classroom for lunch a few minutes later, but his friend is already waiting for him with a group of girls, among whom Arisa stands out, not for being pleasant, but just the opposite. She is the type of friend that, after a breakup, starts asking you about everything that happened only to bother you. Sejo tries to avoid answering all of the questions, but Aika comes unexpectedly, looking unhappy. She grabs Sejo's hand and walks him aside to converse alone. Although she doesn't say anything, Sejo can't help but wonder why Aika is upset. In short, she is envious. Sejo is ecstatic to learn that his girlfriend Aika is jealous of him. However, knowing Aika will not confess it, he flees after saying that. Later, while discussing with Aika about everything that has happened, Sejo experiences an unexpected event. Hayato, the most attractive boy in the school, comes to find him. Hayato pulls him away to talk, and the first question he asks is what Sejo thinks of himself. Sejo responds that, in any event, he's merely a commoner, or more accurately, an NPC in life. Hayato then questions if his shift in attitude is related to his connection with Aika. Sejo refuses to answer, and after much back and forth, Hayato exposes the genuine reason for speaking with him. Hayato's sister has been saddened by Sejo's sudden change, believing that she is to blame for Sejo's breakup with Aika. She believes she bothered him enough that he opted to end things because of her. If that's not the case, Hayato requests that he convey the facts to his sister. Sejo doesn't understand why his sister is sad, but they are family, therefore he must resolve the issue. What he doesn't realize is that Hayato has already prepared the scenario to make it happen. He instructed Sejo's sister to wait for him on the rooftop. As they walk to the place, Sejo asks Hayato if he has any reason to help his sister. The handsome man informs him that being attractive has caused him many troubles in the past, but his sister came along just in time to save him. As a result, he feels obligated to repay a debt. While they talk, Aika and Aika see them and decide to follow them covertly. Seconds later, Sejo arrives on the terrace and sees his sister, Kei. She wonders why he's there, but Sejo responds with another question. He asks her to list 10 positive qualities about herself. After some thought, Kay is unable to come up with even 3 ideas. By the way, I'm sorry for not mentioning the girl's name sooner. The protagonist now asks her to mention 10 negative aspects about him. And this time, Kay cites all 10 plus more. Sejo then informs her that, as he told Hayato, she shouldn't be concerned about his change in attitude because it isn't actually a change. He just realized what he shouldn't do. He chose to fall in love with Aika and then cease loving her. She has nothing to do with this. Although Wataru encourages Kay not to worry, she does so because he is her brother. She tells the story of 2 people who loved each other, but one of them abruptly decided to withdraw themselves, leaving the other in a difficult predicament. Wataru says, if she thinks he's that weak, shouldn't she trust her younger brother? The fact that she alters her attitude and becomes kind just makes matters worse because he believes she feels sorry for him. So the best thing she can do is continue to treat him the same way she always has. With these comments, Kay now understands her brother's emotions, and as he had requested, she begins treating him as any older sister would treat her younger brother. However, as in real life, such treatment can be misinterpreted, in this case, by Aika. While the girls followed Wataru, Aika pulls Wataru's shirt and yells at him, telling him that he should respect her sister and apologize to her. Instead, Wataru inquires whether she spied on him and followed him covertly to the rooftop. This time, Aika comes across as the toxic one in the relationship. She flees, unable to say anything, leaving Wataru with the same worries. While walking home, he considers Aika's thoughts but decides to stop thinking about them in order to feel more at ease. Later, he stops by a store to get something for his sister as an apology. When he comes home, he greets his mother and hands Kay the gift he purchased. She tries to act harsh at first, but she actually enjoys the present. Then a nice sibling quarrel ensues since she refused to share her food with Wataru. In revenge, he snaps a picture, joking that his pals would pay a lot for something like that. However, his sister punishes him severely for this. Now, let's move on to the girls. They are discussing the time everyone went to Aika's place. Aika tells Ashida that she felt sad witnessing her younger sister get along with everyone while she, despite being older, struggled to interact. However, Ashida claims it was not the true reason she was depressed. It was because Wataru had not yet come. Even though she does not want to admit it, she has feelings for him. While it was bothersome that he was continually behind her, she now feels horrible since she no longer has his attention and devotion. However, the gap does not have to stay forever, and this time, she must take the initiative and begin chatting to Wataru. Taking her counsel, Aika spends the next day with Ashida, waiting for Wataru. However, when the protagonist arrives, he treats Aika in an overly formal manner, making her extra depressed. Ashida tells him he's making a mistake. During breakfast, Wataru proudly exits his classroom, displaying a manly Sigma attitude with Luke maxing. Aika wants to approach him and offer they eat together, but she lacks the guts, so Wataru leaves. As a good introvert, our friend finds a location to dine alone. He doesn't realize Keed, Yum, and another girl are there, though. This time, Yum smiles and offers him to eat with them, and Wataru knows that if he declines, Keed will be upset with him. So he has no other option. While they eat, Wataru is amazed that Yum is suddenly chatting more and is no longer scared to socialize with men. However, a girl named AI dislikes the protagonist because he asked Yum if she had a partner. After seeing that Wataru has no malicious motives, AI ends up getting along with him. Besides, Yum is not the waifu in this anime. Later, in private, Keed praises our friend for assisting Yum. Because of him, she discovered that not all men are bad, and she is now a lot more outgoing with everyone. She also thanks him for his guidance, which has significantly improved her connections with her friends. Yum's brother Sasaki is now frequently receiving messages from his sister as a result of her shift in behavior following her interaction with Wataru. They begin discussing their sisters, but the topic takes a turn when Sasaki inquires about Wataru's connection with Aika. Wataru repeats what we already know, But this time Sasaki admits that he really likes Aika and asks Wataru whether it bothers him to pursue her. Our guy says that it's fine, even if, deep down, he's jealous that the girl he likes is perhaps bonding with someone else. In other words, Fuka is not a university student but a high school student, younger than Wataru. Cop FBI. Our friend doesn't understand what's going on, so he unloads. After lessons, Wataru watches Ashida and Aika walk home with Sasaki. All he can do is watch. However, things alter when Aika approaches him, claiming to have forgotten something. Because it's late, Wataru offers to accompany her home, and the girl finally musters the guts to initiate a conversation. Aika inquires as to where he intends to dine, noting that he used to eat with Ashida and her, but now he does so alone. Wataru claims he'll eat somewhere nearby, but in reality, he ends up eating lunch with Keed and other girls, making Aika jealous. She refuses to give up and asks Wataru if he wants to lunch with her. Our friend likes the idea, but he also believes that rejoining Aika will jeopardize the friendships she's built. He reluctantly informs her that he prefers to eat alone at the moment. Back at home, Aika advises Wataru that he should not neglect himself. She recommends hair dye, after noticing he hasn't styled his hair. When he asks what color she prefers, she recommends dark, but thinks light would be ideal. Wataru, not wanting to remove himself from her, goes to the supermarket with his sister to get dark hair dye. He gets a makeover. Now the issue is his grades. He used to be ranked 25th in the entire school, but he has since slipped to 65th. Wataru says it is because he used to maintain good grades and behavior in order to be the ideal man for Aika. However, Ashida informs him that she has advanced to 23rd place. When Wataru checks the rankings, he notices that Aika is now second. He believes that his absence from her has contributed to her rehabilitation. Sasaki appears, boasting that he has a higher status, and instead of being unhappy, this serves as the catalyst for Wataru to reclaim his previous position. Days later, Wataru realizes that Aika is gaining new acquaintances, but her gaze is always focused on him. However, he is determined not to come any closer. Wataru goes out to eat at noon, but as he exits the classroom, he discovers that other girls are spying on his ex, wondering what he has planned for her. They are startled when he confronts them, and he teases the blonde girl Mary before they depart, saying that the people on the west side are peculiar. On the same day, it starts pouring, and Aika meets Wataru. He greets her and leaves her in the rain, but when he notices a truck approaching that will splash water on Aika, he intervenes to save her, being soaked and developing a terrible cold. A few days later, Ashida asks if he's truly okay, and he says it's simply not his day. Moments later, Ao appears and offers him a handkerchief. He takes it, but his cold is so bad that he faints, despite his friend's belief that he simply fell asleep. When Wataru awakens, he attempts to appear fine, and the teacher chastises him for napping in class, utterly oblivious of his deteriorating health. The situation worsens when Wataru tries to use the restroom, but faints again, owing to a lack of strength. Thank you for watching to this point. This is not the end. For part 2, don't forget to like and subscribe. We got other interesting anime recaps for you. Choose the left or the right video.